What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another LIFECAST. This week we are talking about accountability. And on that note, I will have 2 non-alcoholic drinks, please. I said 2, you're having a non-alcoholic as well?
I am. Cider. I'm going to try.
And again, it's all back from what we mentioned last week, accountability.
Yeah.
Which, for me anyway, my accountability on my latest little kind of health kick has come from this Whoop. But I'll be honest, when we started off on last week's episode talking about it, on the different threads of accountability, but just one on a personal one for me, on the health, that's been huge for me.
Yeah. So you didn't have one before.
No.
And what is the difference? What is the difference in your lifestyle choices between having a measurement, because it's about accountability. Cheers, Adam.
Thanks, mate.
About accountability and measurement in it, right? So before you had it, what was your life choices and how have they changed since you did it?
My life choices were whatever the fuck I wanted to do, basically. Do you know what I mean? There was no one, I'm not accountable to anyone. So if I wanted to, wake up and go for a full English at 9 in the morning, I was doing that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to not eat until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I would do that. There was no real routine or kind of standard that I set myself to. I'm still kind of living relatively healthy in that sense, but there was definitely no accountability there of checking kind of, is my heart rate different to one day or the next? Am I going to the gym? How much effort am I putting in the gym? What am I doing? How am I sleeping? There's no accountability whatsoever. Then a little conversation with you happens. I get this Whoop, and it's probably 3 weeks in now, 2 or 3 weeks in, and the accountability level's there, and that has in turn affected, I think, my mood. I feel more positive about things. I seem to have a better outlook on things. Routine in my days got a lot better, and it's all come from being accountable.
So what did it show you? Or what has it shown you along those few weeks, and what have you changed?
Sleep's been a big one for me.
Right.
So noticing that I'm obviously getting a better night's sleep when I've been out and active, when I've been working out in the day, when I've not been eating until 12 o'clock, until 6, been getting me 3 meals in between those times, and then seeing my sleep in the evenings, and then comparing it then to when I have had a drink, and then it's making me think, wow, God, you know what, the next time it comes to a social, I'm thinking, like today, can I have a few beers with Paul, we might go out afterwards and stuff, and I'm thinking, you know what, no, non-alcoholic, and see how it goes, because I've got now this, metric system that's telling me what works for me. It's telling me, you're going to feel better if you don't do this, you're going to feel better if you do this, and it's been massive. And again, not only is it physically, obviously it's better, but just mentally, I feel, I've been texting you most days saying, I feel fucking great.
Yeah.
And it's because of that accountability. It's been massive for me.
Yeah.
Sleep's been one, noticing my heart rate as well. That's been a big one. And it does a thing on the Whoop called the recovery. So it kind of takes into how much effort you've put in the gym one day compared to your sleep, and then how much kind of fully recovered you are, etc. and stuff. So there's loads of different metrics on there, but it's been massive. Yeah. It's been huge for me.
Have you ever done, I think we've talked about this before, but at my exercise, and some stuff I'm quite dedicated and it comes quite easy, but food is terrible for me. Have you ever done MyFitnessPal?
Oh, you count your macros and all that?
Have you done it?
I've done it, but I don't mind. I'm all right with food. I'm not picky. I'm all right eating me 3 meals and don't really.
So I haven't done it for 10 years, but there's a point where I went up to like 200 pounds. I'm not even sure what weight that is. Is that like, that's got to be like 14 stone, something, I guess.
100 kilos plus.
Yeah, probably. And I wanted to lose weight, and MyFitnessPal had just come out. So this was got to be about 11, 12 years ago. And I did it for over 3 months, and I just lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. I went down to like, I don't know, 180 pounds is probably what I am today. But I lost that 20 pounds instantly just by having the knowledge, the education, because they do come with them apps. But more so than that, it does change your habits.
I can't believe how a little app on your phone can give you that accountability.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone, you asked the question just off air when we were talking, who are you accountable for? I don't feel like I'm accountable to anyone really, in the sense, my daughter, I'd say, in the sense that I feel a kind of pressure and accountability to be a good dad and to provide a good upbringing for her. And arguably kind of friends, some friendship groups and stuff, but almost to the point as in I don't want to let people down, or I don't want people to think I'm I'm a knob type thing, that accountability.
Yeah, yeah.
I put you in that
Yeah.
bracket, as in I feel, you're a good mate, but someone who kind of relies on me, like, apart from my daughter, I don't really have that accountability. So there's definitely been times in my life when I've just been coasting because I know I've not got that accountability. And then there's been times when I've been excelling in my life, and it's because I have had that accountability.
Yeah.
And I think people can be scared of it, can't they?
Well, you talked about when you broke the world record, you talked about it, that you was going to do it, you told people. That is one method of accountability.
Yeah. And what's so funny about that is it was a double-edged sword, because one, I had to talk about it because there was a potential ITV deal on the table if we could kind of do it. And let's face it, it would have been a pretty poor documentary if I never broke the world record at the end. So there was an accountability in that sense. So I'm telling everyone every day about it, that I'm going to break this. And it was actually funny, one of my best mates, he's actually now in Special Forces, he texted me in the morning, he said, fuck me, I hope you break this record, because the amount of people you've told, you're going to look like an idiot otherwise. But that was massive for me, because that's one of the reasons I did it, because I'm telling everyone I'm doing it. Every morning when I was waking up, I knew that if I was going to meet someone in the Tesco's, or if I'd done a motivational talk or on the school run, people would then generally say, how's training going? How are you getting on? Which was massive for me, to know that. Not that people were relying on me, but it was a topic of conversation that I knew would come up. And if I wasn't training, or I wasn't, pursuing that target enough, I was going to look silly. And I didn't want to look silly. So I think for me, telling everyone, I've just been speaking to Adam, and he kind of didn't really think it was a big thing to tell everyone when he ran a marathon. But for me personally, telling everyone, shouting it from the rooftops, so I could have that accountability with sometimes friends or even strangers on social media, was absolutely huge for me.
I always think when you look at like Floyd Mayweather, and he calls himself the best ever, and I think people think that's arrogant. And maybe it is, but I think it's actually his methodology of making him accountable. Because, it's like when I forget who the boxer was, probably Hagler or someone, he said it's hard to get out of bed when you're sleeping in silk pyjamas, right? You could see how much money Floyd Mayweather's made. He's not doing it for the money. He doesn't need the money anymore. So I feel like he has this kind of alter ego of the best ever, because it kind of meant he had to retire undefeated. It kind of meant he had to break boundaries, and all the time he was saying it, I think he was putting himself under that pressure to turn up to the gym in the morning when the alarm clock goes off.
I also think there's a little bit like, if you're talking about it all the time and you kind of, you're making yourself accountable for it, you're putting all your energy into it as well. That kind of law of attraction, you kind of, if you can believe it, if you can say you can believe it, all that kind of stuff. If you're constantly talking about it and you're making sure you're accountable, whether it's on the metric system like a Whoop or your friends' social media, it's all your energy is going into this thing, which I think has got to help it, really, hasn't it? If you're talking about it and you're kind of aiming towards it, your energy's going towards it, and surely you're going to be in a better position to achieve whatever it is you're going to achieve. So I also think that's a big part of it as well.
I think it's Bellew from round here, and he went around Liverpool for years before he's world champion, telling everyone he's going to be world champion. It's that kind of, I don't know if it enhances belief, but I do think accountability is important. We went to Iceland, didn't we, with like 20 business owners, and those business owners, in the main, they don't have any accountability to anyone. Actually, Adam was saying to me before, do you feel accountable to us? And that I think we were saying before again, my motivation to doing stuff has to come from external factors. I don't think I'm very good. And I'll give you an example. On about the 10th of January this year, I looked at my physique and thought, it's not great, this. So I went on social, I can't remember which one, and I posted, this is me 10th of Jan. Watch what I look like in 30 days. Right, I just remembered this now. And to be honest with you, it was a bit choppy January, right? So I didn't throw myself into the January.
It's the first thing I want to do off this now, look at yours.
That I expected to. And do you know what happened? It got to about 30, 40 days afterwards, and I looked at myself and I thought, I don't have to post anything up. Nobody's going to follow this up. So I didn't post it. So I've only just remembered that now. So I went with all the things of going, I need this self, I need to make some accountability here for me getting in the shape that I want to get in. I put it on. But because I knew there was going to be no repercussion, no follow-up, nobody calling me out, actually what happened was I got 4 weeks in and thought, oh, I'm not quite as good as... And then I remember thinking in February, I might put one up in March, but I've just never got round to getting in the shape that I've comfortable. But I think that's where like the accountability does come in, right? If somebody else would have put that up and said, I'm going to put another one up. If I would have said to you on this thing now, right, here's my accountability, I'm going to do this, watch how ripped I'm going to be by February, Andy. And you would have said, right, well, when we do the February the 15th thingy, I'm going to go and take a picture of you and I'm going to put it up. How much more effort do you think I would have put in that month?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting. And so you don't get that accountability then from yourself?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for some things, but I think I search for... We did a conference in Liverpool 3 weeks ago where we talked about what the next 3 years look like, right? In a way, that's my way of stamping. It's my way of kind of stamping, right, this is what you say you're going to do. You've just got to go and deliver it now. I feel like that's what it is. So I will find external methods of, I've got a Fitbit, you know, I tried the social media one, but I was able to wriggle out of it thinking back now.
What's stopping you from wriggling out of the Fitbit then? Because that's only you again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is only... I think, to be honest with you, there's other things like that, isn't there? Like, I think there's I've got a really big health consciousness, you know, so I think what the Fitbit or the Whoop doesn't lie. And I think that there's only so long you can kid yourself.
Yeah.
And again, we were chatting to Adam and Neil before, and Adam was saying he just ran a marathon because he wanted to. We also talked about Mike Bates, who was on your podcast, and he was going to row the Atlantic Ocean. But what he had to do, or one of his strategies, was to put himself under pressure to not turn back or not give up. And I think he raised 110 or 120,000 quid for Leeds General. But the fact he was raising that money for a cause close to his heart because of one of his kids kind of meant he couldn't stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
People ask him, can I have my money back? Because he's only halfway.
Can you imagine? What would you say?
Yeah.
So I feel like he made the decision to make himself fully accountable. The other thing that he talks about, interestingly, and he would have done on your pod, is he also filmed it along the way.
Yeah.
So one of his biggest motivators was he said he was going to do something, and actually failure during it would have been live. A bit like what you just said about winning a world record, doing a program about it, and then not delivering at the end. One of the things he was particularly proud of is that he actually put it out there. He didn't just row the ocean, because you could do this. You could row the ocean, achieve it, and then go, I've just rowed an ocean. Yeah. It's a lot tougher if you say, I'm rowing the ocean and I'm going to raise 125 grand for a kid's, a kid's hospice. It's a lot more pressure, innit?
Yeah, it's massive.
Probably means there's more chance of doing it.
100%. I think that's just the term accountability as well. When I look at successful people, they've got a lot of accountability. Do you know what I mean? And you can view that success in loads of different ways, like we spoke about. But when I talk about accountability, they're not the type of people who play the victim and say, well, this and that. It's like they've owned it. Do you know what I mean? Whether they put it out there, whether it's social media or... I just feel like people who are accountable, like the more trustworthy, the more kind of honest, the more... what you talk about being in a team. We just spoke about Mike doing the solo thing, but even as a team, if you're more accountable, you're working with someone, I don't know, it just creates a better vibe. You can rely on them, they can rely on you, all from being accountable. It goes so far. And again, it takes, like you say, a lot of honesty as well, looking in the mirror and kind of holding yourself to a certain standard and being accountable. And I think that's where the really, highly motivated individuals have got that accountability.
Well, I think they search for it. So I've got a business off that, right? Because I've got people who come to us who know far more about the leisure industry or the hotel industry or the fashion industry than I do or we do, because that's their business. But yet they come to us to have the meeting because it means that once a month they've got to turn up and be accountable. So we built a whole business off that. If you look at someone like Kevin Sinfield, he can probably look in the mirror and he's not on social, he's not on anything like that. I don't think he's got any ego whatsoever. I think he can just hold himself accountable. I mean, when I look at him, he lives a life that is extremely disciplined today, and I don't know the reason why. He's a coach, right, obviously for the England rugby team now, but he's never got an ounce of fat on him. When he has to run 101 miles, he runs it. When he does 7 ultras, he runs it. When he has to push a marathon, Rob Burrow around Leeds Marathon, he just delivers. And yet, he wouldn't even know what Instagram was. I don't think he's accountable to anyone. He could disagree. I think he's one of those people that can be accountable to himself. I do think if you look in the mirror, you can't cheat yourself. I find external sources of validation to what I'm trying to do, or accountability, because I know that if I don't, I'll end up like I did the other week, which I'll do a little bit, but I won't do too much. So when I was in Iceland, we made everybody, we took 20 people to Iceland in November, and we made everybody stand up in front of people and say, my goals for this year are. And they had to say the goals. And then we meet every quarter for them to sit in a meeting room and deliver them. There's more chance that they deliver them because they've got to turn up.
Yeah. I think that comes into one of the big things I've took from Iceland is the accountability in social circles as well. I feel a pressure, and a good pressure, and I actually want to come back to pressure in a minute from what you've just said, but there's a good pressure with accountability where when I turn up now for the Be The Standards, and then you're speaking to now friends, and they're saying, last time we spoke, Andy, a month ago, you were saying about this. That's given me a pressure throughout the last 4 weeks to work on whatever it is, so that when I'm meeting up with these people again, I've got that accountability where I've said something, I've said what I'm up to, what I'm doing, and people are now interested in it. I don't want to look like a fraud or a failure or that I've not done it. So I think your social circles, your friends, your family, whoever it is, holding you to account is absolutely massive. One thing on you there, I think your accountability, when I think of you, always seem to be, you're more accountable when the pressures are high. So for example, you say about losing weight maybe, whether you've put on a few extra pounds or not, you know what I mean? But the accountability that you put on yourself from, big goals that affect a lot of people. I joked and said about the podcast, if I don't want to do this podcast next week, it only affects one other person. If you tomorrow can't be bothered answering any calls or making any decisions on Sedulo, there's 250 people who'd have something to say about that. That accountability is a huge pressure. So where do you stand on the accountability and the pressure? Because there's obviously a direct link there, isn't there?
There is a direct link. I think like it does make me laugh sometimes where people think, if you own a business, you get, I can't take 2 weeks off. I just can't take 2 weeks off. And the reason I can't take 2 weeks off is because I am accountable to 200 people. And if I just thought, fuck it, I've had enough of this, I can't close this down, even if I wanted to. So it gets to the point where my accountability today is such that my whole life is determined, everything I do. I can't just decide. If somebody said to me, right, Paul, we're going around the world for 3 months, it's not even a discussion. The answer is no. I can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because I'm accountable to make sure that 200 people get paid every single month and they pay their wages and all the rest of it. All accountability comes with pressure. Even if I said to you now, Andy, I'm not going to drink for a month, I could probably hide that one because we'll come on to measurement actually. Key part of accountability is if I said to you, right, what's your goal now and who you're accountable to deliver it? If you say, my goal's to my daughter to be a good dad, well, if you tell her off to...
subjective, isn't it?
If you're on your phone for 3 hours tonight when she's tugging at you, who knows? Reality of it is, nobody knows. So, really what I think when you've got accountability, the reason why the Whoop's working is you've got measurement in line in conjunction with accountability. And it doesn't lie.
And do you think that's why some people, they kind of just coast maybe because they're scared of that pressure and accountability? Because there's some people who would be happy to not have any. You look at maybe the workspace, talking before, and it's like Neil was saying that sometimes you can be in jobs where whether you're excelling or you're not excelling, you can just kind of coast by. Some people might not want that level of stress and accountability, whereas, again, you can be in jobs where it's like, you know, you've got to be producing good stuff, good work, because you're accountable. So I think there are people who probably would be happy to not have any accountability.
I'm telling you now, there are people, right? Because when you employ people, when you work with people, you can tell the people who want to get on. You can tell the people who've got their own sort of, what do you call it, like
Their own standards, really, isn't it?
their own standards, yeah. Because some people, it's dead easy, right? Some people, it's very subjective. You know, if you're doing sales, it's all metric driven. But others, they might be doing a design piece, like we were chatting to Adam and Neil about before. And they might just want to know, is it a good piece? How are we going to use it? But I think that is more of a standard perspective. When you look at, and I said this to you ages ago about work from home, if I was starting a job today, working for you, I want you to measure me. I want you to give me accountability, and I want you to measure me, because I want to get on in life. So if I'm on 20 grand a year and I've got to deliver that, what do you want me to do to give me 25 grand a year, right? And when I get to 25, what is it that I need to do to 30? And how are you going to measure me? If I worked for somebody where there was no measurement, or there was no objective, immediate feedback, well, I wouldn't work there. I wouldn't work there.
It was a fascinating time, and again, from the guys I know at Suzulo, you've definitely, you know, bred that kind of, you know, inner standards. Like you say, something in design, which is subjective. The guys are like, I want to be make it the best I can make it. So you've definitely kind of cultivated that in Suzulo, and it did make me like think back to that time during lockdown, because there'd be no doubt people in the UK, when you could work from home, would be leaving the jobs and going, this is great. There's a new job there. Work from home. No one's going to see me. Great. And again, your whole ethos and values for Suzulo was like, I want you in here. I want you, you know, be accountable. Do you know what I mean? Get to the next level. And I think that's the, ultimately, everyone, if you're honest with yourself, look in the mirror, like we say, you got that discipline, you should want the best for yourself. You should want to be cracking on. And with that, you need accountability.
Yeah. You've got to be honest. You can look in the mirror and pretend.
Yeah.
We can all do that. And listen, if you want to do that, do that. It's up to you at the end of the day. But if you actually want to move on, if you actually want to do something, if you want to succeed at something, and it's not necessarily career or business, it's everything, you've got to look in the mirror and be honest. Can you be self-driven, self-motivated to achieve the goals you want to achieve, or do you need to bring somebody else in? That's why a lot of business people have mentors and chairmen and boards, and you don't even need them, really.
Do you know what's interesting about that on a personal level as well? Because I know it's not all business, but it's a little bit like of what's the phrase? The kind of the horse, or what's the carrot, or the thing? It's what comes. Who motivates you type thing? Is it the whip or the carrot or something? So let's say you're single, and I don't know, you meet someone, you're in okay, you know, condition type thing, but you meet someone who you think, oh God, I'm punching above my weight here. In a way, I think that can inspire you and give you accountability 100%. To think, fuck me, I need 100%. To get in that gym now, because you probably, God, I've somehow got a date, it's going okay, but before, you know, she might look at me and think, oh, I'm gonna, and that can be accountability, do you know what I mean? To think, I need to get myself in order.
That's why you need to surround yourself with the right people. See, I kind of threw you under the bus in Iceland, because I know that, I think that you are somebody who can perform at high levels under certain environments, but you also have the ability to drift. This is what I think. So in Iceland, I was like, what's your goal? And I think you tried to wriggle out of it. I can't remember what you actually did. You did something, and in front of everybody, right? It wasn't to try to embarrass you, but it was to try to make you commit to what that next big goal was. Because listen, you win gold medals and you break world records, but you know, when you're running in a goal for the gold medal, you've got to run in front of people. When you're doing the breaking world records, you've told people and you've made friends and family turn up on the day and do an ITV show. So I can already tell by looking at you. I'm not saying you don't have your own intrinsic levels of motivation, but the most successful things you've done are when you've been accountable.
100%, yeah.
Right, and so I think I turned around to you in ice and said, so along the lines of, so what is your goal and what's your objective and who's making you accountable?
Yeah.
It's not for me to make
No, but mate, you've absolutely nailed it, and there's definitely, like, again, times in my life where I know I've not been excelling and I've been floating, and if you kind of got the kind of metrics of those times, you'd see I wasn't accountable. You know, I had no pressure. And then you look at the times where I was flying, you'd go, well, that's because he was getting relied on for this, this, and this, and he had that pressure for this, this, and this. So, yeah, you're absolutely bang on with it.
Yeah. Listen, if you had 10 listeners to your podcast, you might not do one every week.
Yeah, yeah.
The fact that you've got the Patreon and the
Yeah.
fact that there's a commitment.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
100%.
We haven't used that word, but actually what the accountability does is it strengthens that the bond, the line of commitment.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, do you think it's a wrong thing that, for example, go back to the relationship, you know, if you're dating someone, you're getting that accountability because of that reason? I don't think there's really a wrong reason, is there, for any accountability?
No.
If it's serving a purpose and getting you kind of, you know, accountable for something in your life that, you know, you need to sort out, then wherever that kind of inspiration comes from, whether it's you've just started dating someone or there's people relying on you or whatever, I think it's whatever.
Well, I think there'll be people watching this thinking, I don't need any external... I hope if they are doing it, they're saying it truthfully. Right, that's the key to this. If you look in the mirror and you think, I've done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Kevin Sinfield, right, and I didn't need any accountability. Although I'd argue he's got a lot of accountability now because he's raising 7 figures every time he does one of these, one of these runs or one of these commitments. So I think he is accountable now to raising money for motor neurons disease. But some people, I don't think he started off like that. I think he just started off trying to help a mate. And that's what he always says.
And the discipline he's got for that, and I don't think that
not many of
there
them,
are many Kevin Sinfields, no.
Right, but so there will be some listening that genuinely could look in the mirror and go, I can be self-committed, self-disciplined,
Self-police it, yeah.
self-policed. If you can, I think you've got to look around and go, who have I got around me, or what can I do around me that gives me the motivating factor, the accountability to be committed and disciplined to carry through what I want to get.
And that's the other thing, bang on what you said, but you need to be honest as well. Like, having those people around you, it's okay to have them around you, but what if they're yes men? You know, Neil said before about it when he was in a job, and someone was kind of saying, oh, you need people like, and I think you're a friend like that to me, that'll kind of go, yeah, but why? And I won't be scared to say to me, well, that's fucking, well, come on then.
Yeah.
And I think that's the accountability levels that you need if you're going to be successful in whatever it is. And it can be big, can be small, but you need to be honest, don't you? Honesty is the big one. And when you, like you said before, when you're looking in the mirror, you can't lie to yourself.
No.
I do think it's a funny one though, because I think accountability can be on massive levels. And one thing I do for accountability, and works really well for me, is I write lists every evening. So when I'm waking up in the morning, there's things there, and if I don't get through, say if I've got like 20 things, I might get through 15 of them, and then I'll take the last 5 and I'll put them on the starter list for the next day. And it's just those little things that keep me accountable for...
It's a great one, that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't have to be big, businesses and this and that. Little things like, one today was go to the gym, was on there, on the way back from the gym, was go to Tesco. Stupid little things,
But you feel good about ticking off going to Tesco, don't you?
Yeah.
You do one of those daily lists. I used to do them. I don't do them anymore. But I do wake up every day with a goal. And then sometimes they're innocuous goals, sort a bill out, and sometimes there's something big happening that day. And so I just have that as my constant thing. But to-do lists are another. I think they're brilliant, that way of...
And they're ones where there's no external pressure there, but it's just being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And, and I'll be honest, there's been days where I haven't got enough done. And you feel a bit shitty because you've let yourself down. It's that thing. So I definitely think even if you're kind of new to this whole accountability thing, making a little list is a good way to start. And also, which is the one I'm really passionate about with accountability, is having people keep you in check.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's a big one as well.
I think we talked about the negatives a lot of social on one of the previous pods. I think that's where social has got a positive. You know, if you're going to raise money for a charity, you're better off telling everybody, plastering it everywhere, and getting sponsors. You've got more chance of succeeding at that point
100%.
than if you're not. So I do think social is a way where if you haven't got a group of people that will hold you to account directly, you can always do it through social platforms. I think it's one of the positives actually of them.
Finishing off then on the on accountability. With regards to you, do you think it might scare you actually this question? Your accountability with Sadulo, where does that go? Because again, it is a funny, you know, I think people may have a funny version of you where again they think, oh wow, he could fuck off for 6 months and no one will bat an eyelid. You know, you've explained the reality of the situation. At what point does that kind of like grip and that accountability? I mean, where
Maybe never. Maybe never.
Do you know what I mean? It's a big pressure, isn't it? And it's like, is it a healthy pressure? Is it maybe good for now but forever? It's an interesting one, isn't it?
I don't know. I think that I'm somebody that likes to, coming back to, I'm somebody that likes to hit, or I'm searching for my own version of the best version of me, right, or my own optimum performance. And I think that that's probably going to be forever. And I think, therefore, I know that my motivations are to be accountable to people forever. It's a bit like the foundation. I've set up the foundation.
Literally,
right.
When you said that, I thought about it.
Because it links to purpose as well. You know, it's a bit like the foundation. I've set up the foundation. And, you know, really what I should do is say, we've set up the foundation, we're going to raise £1 million. Right? It is another way of being accountable to achieving something. And I've set that up because it gives me more purpose in the future, and that's linked to being committed to a purpose. And you have to measure the commitment and the purpose, and you need to be accountable, and all those things are in the same bowl in order to achieve stuff.
It is fascinating your kind of where it come from, your desire to be accountable, because I know for anyone who's unaware of this, the Sadulo Foundation is getting launched at the end of June, and I guess that's where that's come from. I mean, you can maybe explain a bit, but this accountability you feel to want to kind of give back, which is absolutely massive, and I can't wait to be there for it. But that's probably a nice way to finish on. Where did that accountability come from then to launch the foundation, to want to give back so much? Because without blowing smoke up your ass, I don't know anyone who quite wants to kind of do as much as you. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know where it comes from, but from a selfish perspective, I want to remain purposeful. So there's a selfishness to it. I think that's okay, and a lot of people don't admit it, but there's a selfishness that I always want to be purposed for the rest of my life, really. And in business, I've said this before, I think, you know, one time I just wanted to earn 20 grand a year, then it was 30, then I wanted a business, then I wanted to do £500,000, then £1 million. I think all those targets, you can hit them and you move on. But I think when you come up around helping people, there's no chance on this earth I'm going to be able to help as many people as I want to or can. And so it becomes then an infinite purpose. So that is one of the selfish, if you like, personal reasons. And setting up the foundation formalises it, crystallises it. We have a launch gala dinner. All these things create accountability, because the next year when everybody's put the money in, or, you know, they're going to say, what have you done with the money? How have you used the money? Whose lives have you changed?
Accountable for it.
And you're accountable again.
Great way to end it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for the Sadulo Foundation launch. That'll be the end of June. I'm sure you'll see loads of it on the socials. So yeah, keep following and supporting it. Yeah, enjoyed that one, mate.
Nice one, mate.
And yeah, we'll see you next week.